Okay, students, welcome back. How are you doing? Now we have 12 students. Well, we have 12 students. Very happy to see you all. Right. Now, let's discuss what we discussed last time. So if you know the answers, you can send me them or the particular answers for those questions in the chat. So I could see your activity, whether you are responding and you are active. Now tell me, what do you mean by reliability in a research? So last time we discussed about research designs. What's reliability? Can someone tell me? Just type and send me as a direct message to me. Direct message आपकी दे रहा. What's reliable? What's reliable? Anyone? Yes, I got one message. What is reliable? What is reliability? Reliability is what? Can you give another term for reliability? Yes, I got another answer. Yes, another answer is there. What is reliability? Only 2 students.
So it's about being consistent.
Very good. Very good. Excellent. Excellent answer. Reliability is being consistent. Right? The measurement instrument should provide a consistent answer. That's reliability. So if you're unable to answer that question, that's a problem. So you need to understand, right? And you need to respond. Right. Let me ask another question. What is validity? I'm getting answers again. What is validity? Okay, I'm getting some questions. The answers are given. What do you mean by validity? But only few are responding. Why is that? What is validity? So I'm getting some responses.
It's whether we are measuring what we are supposed to measure.
Validity is that whether we are measuring what you are supposed to measure. Now, if you want to measure the temperature, if your objective is to measure the temperature, but if you are measuring something else, maybe you are measuring the weight, then that's not valid, right? So that is validity. Validity also is what? That day I taught you what's validity. Also, I taught you that in a different way. What's that? Whether the hypotheses are well founded. Whether the hypotheses are well founded is also what? Validity. Right. Very good. So then the third one I'm going to ask is replicability. What do you mean by replicability?
Is the study is repeatable, sir?
Very good. Whether the study is repeatable. Excellent. Whether the study is repeatable. Whether the study is repeatable. Right. So what are those that I discussed just now? What are these things that I discussed? මොකද්ද මම මේ discuss කරපු ඒවා?
Criteria in research.
Criteria in a good research. Very good. Criteria that we distinguish between a good and a bad research. Very, very good. Criteria that distinguishes between good and bad research. Isn't it? I think you did it very well. Right. Now let's discuss. So that's the criteria. So how many criteria were there? There were 3 criteria. There were 3 criteria that distinguish between good and not so good research. Right. You could even say bad research. Right. So that's what you have to understand. Then now tell me, what do you mean by research design? What is a research design? Can someone tell me? Please send me text the messages so I can see your active participation. I'm getting answers. What's the research design? Which was the last time's topic. What's the research design? You can look at the notes. Since the students are just trying to answer something without looking at the notes. What's the research design?
So it's a collection and analysis of data.
Yeah, actually it's a framework. It's a framework that details, right? A comprehensive framework that details the collection, right? Techniques and the way of collection of data as well as analysis of data. Good. So you gave the answers as appropriate as possible. Right. So now let me share the screen with you. Can you see my screen, Buddha?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these were the questions that I was asking. Research designs. Right, it's a framework of the collection and analysis of data. It's a comprehensive framework, but a research method is discussing only collection of data. Then these are the criteria in social research that distinguishes between bad and good research. Reliability is about consistency. Replicability is about repeatability. Validity means are the conclusions well-founded? Hypothesis and the related conclusions are well-founded. And then, or it can also be told whether you are measuring what you are supposed to measure. Okay. Now let me ask again a question on what are the, and before that, how many types of research designs are there? We'll ask another student. Let's go and ask. How many types are there nowadays? Usernames. Mudita. Mudita, tell us. Mudita 62. Uda, can you tell us the number of research designs that we discussed last time? Mudita 62. Mudita, no answer. Mudita has no answers. Okay. Then RK Bandar, isn't it? RK Bandar.
Yes, sir.
RK Bandar, very nice. Putha, Bandar, tell us, Putha, the number of research designs that we discussed last time. How many? I asked the number. 5. That's very good. Excellent. That's what I want. Okay, yes. So you can see experimental, cross-sectional, longitudinal case study and comparative case study. Like what we discussed, these are the 5 designs. The experimental design, we understood that there are 2 groups that are available, that we put the sample into 2 groups, experimental and control group, and then give the training or whatever to the implementation is done to the experimental group, and then we compare the results with the control group. So then we discuss the cross-sectional design. Cross-sectional means we take the information at one point of time, right, from the participants. And then we also saw the longitudinal design, where we take the responses at different points of time. Then case study design is where you take one company, one individual, or one community and do an in-depth evaluation. That's called case study design. Then comparative case study design, you take 2 cases that are contrasting and then you compare them. So that's what we discussed as comparative design. Then we discuss about positivism and interpretivism, right? So these are 2 kinds of research paradigms, schools of thought, belief systems. Under positivism, we believe that there is one objective reality, and under interpretivism, we believe, the researchers believe who adopt interpretism, that there are multiple realities and the people construct the reality and there's no one reality. Then when it comes to positivism, also we understood the research and the researcher are considered as 2 things, 2 entities, 2 separate entities. But interpretivism, we understood there's an interaction between the researcher and the research. So I gave you even an example for that. What's that? Where the researcher and the research gets interacted. What was that we discussed? What was the example that we discussed? Can you remember? Can you remember? What was the example I gave? Where the researcher became a part of the research.
That Professor Nandasena Ratnapala.
Very nice. Professor Nandasena Ratnapala's, right? Yeah. Who told that, Putha? Can you raise your hand? I would like to see who are interacting, in fact. Now, this is, okay, great, Putha. Pushpika. Pushpika. Thank you, Putha. Thank you very much. Excellent. So, thank you, Pushpika, again. So yes, it was Professor Nandasena Ratnapala. He became part of the research because he started begging in the roads. These days also, I think all professionals and also academic also can get involved in that research, no, because of taxes. Taxes වැඩි වෙලා දැන් කාට මම හිතන්නේ ඒ research එකට involved වෙන්න පුළුවන්කමක් ලැබිලා තියෙනවා පේනවා. We all can be part of that research now. Just joking, yes. It's extremely difficult situation, isn't it? Extremely difficult situation. What to do? Right, never mind. So that's about that research where we discussed. And then we shall see the research approaches. Now, here you can see this diagram, this where we stopped last time, isn't it? So you can see a research paradigm is a belief system, right? That tells what kind of scientist that person is. So we understood positivism and interpretism are the belief systems. Then for these belief systems to be operated now, when the researcher wants to do the research, that there are two research approaches. One is called the quantitative approach as well as the qualitative approach. Quantitative and qualitative approaches, right? So first comes the paradigm, then comes the approaches. Now, some people think that, that you can combine the paradigms. Can you combine the paradigms, Buddha? Can you combine the belief systems? Now, I told these paradigms are similar to religions, right? Now, people have different religions. There are Buddhists, there are, then we have Hindus, we have then Christians, Catholics, as well as Muslims. Likewise, we have different groups who believe in different religions. Now, my question is, can we mix these religions and create a new one? Can we mix the religions? Can we mix their paradigms? Can or can't? Can we mix the paradigms? Can we mix the religions? Now, these are right religions. Can or can't? Can we create? Now, I told that I was in Japan for 5.5 years. Right. Once when I was doing my MBA there, then there came a friend, a Japanese friend, and he told that let's go to a sermon of Buddha. So he was calling the Lord Buddha as Buddha. I told that, yeah, we shall listen to the, preachings of Buddha. But he told, no, you can see it live. Buddha is there and Buddha will be preaching. I told Buddha, Lord Buddha, with all due respect, a great philosopher, lived some long time back. No, Lord Buddha has come back and let's go to listen. And I went to that particular temple, right, where this particular Buddha was speaking. Accuracy, it was broadcasted. He was in some other area in Japan, and it was broadcasted over some kind of, system like Zoom or whatever. But then I saw that it was a Japanese guy who was telling some things. Then I asked, okay, my friend, what this man is talking about? Because if that person is calling himself or herself as Buddha, then that cannot happen. No? Then what he told was that this person who calls himself Buddha was telling that he had created a religion. The base religion is Buddhism, and then he has taken all the good things of other religions and integrated that to this particular base religion, Buddhism, and now he has created a new religion. Is it possible? Can you do that? Pushpika, what do you think? Udita, can you do that? Can you put things together and make a new religion?
No, sir.
You can't, indeed. How can you do that? Because the fundamental assumptions are different. The epistemological and ontological standpoints are different. Now, in Christianity or in Islam, they believe in one God. In Christianity, they say it's a God, and in Islam, they say the same God as Allah. Right? So, on the other hand, in Buddhism, how many gods do you believe? In Buddhism, how many gods are there? Gods and goddesses. How many gods and goddesses are there, Buddha? Is it one or more than one? I believe we have majority here, the Buddhists. So, what do you think? We'll ask a student, how many gods are there in Buddhism? We have DC law. Number one. Silva, tell us, Puta, how many goats do you believe? I hope you are a Buddhist.
33 crores or something, sir.
Anna, Tistum Kotia. That's correct. Tistum Kotia. Very good. So now see, in one religion, you say it's one god. And in Buddhism, there's the saying or the belief is there's Tistum Kotia. That means 33 codes of codes. A huge amount of codes and goddesses. Now you can see there are fundamental differences. So can you combine them? I don't think so, because of fundamental differences in assumptions that you have, right? But can you combine the methods in these religions? Right? I'll give you an example. Sometimes back, about 2 or 3 years back, or sometimes maybe 5 years back, right? I was looking at a procession. That was procession means but a nice perahara. Right? That perahara, the procession, was actually organized by Catholics. A Catholic church was actually having for a particular saint, that particular procession was conducted. To see that they were taking elephants in that procession, and they were taking swords, sesat, and other Buddhist symbols. All right. So what they had done, it was a very fascinating scene to see, because it shows that how people, people are, in harmony, and how people are using other methods, right, and other traditions together. It's a very nice thing to see, right? Now see, they had mixed the methods, but they never mixed the paradigms. The paradigms were different, but the methods could be mixed, right? Now in a research study, you can perform quantitative, you can use quantitative data collection like structured questionnaires, as well as you can perform interviews, right? That's quantitative and qualitative approaches, right? So what I believe is you can combine methods, but not the paradigms. You can adopt someone. Now, for example, I could remember, I'm a Muslim, by the way, I told you, right? When I was a small kid, right? When there was Vesak, I happened to be, going and, in Vesak times, I happened to be constructing or, creating this Vesak fan, small this Vesak kudu. Right? That's what we were doing, and I was doing it in those kind of activities, and we had nice fun with my Buddhist friends. And when there's this Thai Pongal and other things, we did certain activities together as well. So what we did was sometimes we combined these methods, right? In a multicultural society, it's very normal to see those. But was it that you combined the paradigms, or did you combine the methods? Methods could be combined, but not paradigms. Keep that in mind. So that's what I'm showing you here, right? Based on the research paradigm, you can select your research approach. But of course, for positivism, the quantitative paradigm is more similar or more closer. Then for the qualitative paradigm, the interpretivism. For the interpretative paradigm, qualitative paradigm is more related. But it doesn't mean that in positivistic paradigm and interpretative paradigm, you can use these both methods. You could combine them. So that comes to the qualitative versus quantitative research approaches. Now, these are the two approaches. Now, already I taught you deductive and inductive. What's deductive? You test a hypothesis. In quantitative research, that's what you usually do. You test a hypothesis. In inductive research, you create a theory. That's what you do. So studies a well-known phenomena. In a quantitative research, you take a theory and you test that. So that's why you study a well-known phenomena. But in a qualitative research, you create a theory by looking at what's unknown. So yes, in quantitative research, you test a hypothesis. But on qualitative research, you develop a hypothesis or theories, particular theories. And in the quantitative research, you use statistics. You perform a statistical analysis. I'll teach you how to do certain statistical analysis. But on the other hand, in a qualitative research, you don't perform statistical analysis. You use text, audio, and video for the analysis. And in quantitative research, you use large number of observations, maybe 100 observations, 100 people as your sample, right? But in a quantitative research, that's quite different, right? In a quantitative research, that's quite different. Give me a moment. The Vice Chancellor is speaking to me. Okay, students, the Vice Chancellor had a chat with me. I told that I'm in a small lecture. Okay. So you can see, likewise, there are several differences. Then you collect number data in quantitative research, but not numerical data will be using in qualitative research. So likewise, at the exam, you might be asked, differentiate between quantitative and qualitative research approaches. So we understood what are the research paradigms, interpretivism versus positivism, as well as the two research approaches. Right? Is that clear, Buddha? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So what approach is good? Quantitative or qualitative? We'll ask some students. We have a lot of students. We'll ask students. We have a lot of students. Very good. We have Madhushan. Madhushan, tell us, Putta, what approach is good? Quantitative or qualitative?
It depends with the
Excellent
situation.
answer. Excellent answer. Madhushan is very good. Right? It depends. It depends on your research question. Right? There are certain research questions that are quite, good to be tested using a qualitative method. Then there are certain questions, research questions that I'll teach you are more suitable to be used, right, to discovered and to addressed using a quantitative approach. Now, for an example, the questions that start from what is the relationship between X and Y? What is the relationship between maybe corporate governance and financial performance of a company? So what type of questions, if your questions are what type of questions, then Putta, quantitative approach is more suitable, quantitative approach. But on the other hand, if your questions are asking why and how, why certain things happen and how certain things happen, then a qualitative approach might be more suitable. Right? So please make a note out of that. Right? Please make a note out of that. What type of questions? If your research question is what type? So today I'll show you how to develop research questions. If your research question is what type, what is the type of the question that you're going to ask? Then much better, right, to use a quantitative approach. What is the relationship between X and Y? What is the level of a certain variable? So those are quantitative questions. What? Then if the questions that you are trying to ask or address is why and how type of questions, why accountants behave in this way, and how they overcame these challenges, right? So if those are your questions, then you can perform a qualitative analysis. Okay, so it all depends. So Madhu Shani told exactly the correct answer. It depends on the questions that you are trying to address. Okay, is that clear, Buddha? Is it clear, Pereira? 13. We have Pereira. 13 Pereira. Is it Buddha clear?
Yes,
Then
sir.
okay, great. Let's ask another student. We have Tatsarani.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Tatsarani, now let's say a researcher want to see the impact of a particular accounting standard on financial performance. The impact of a particular accounting standard on financial performance. Now let's say the researcher wants to see what's the impact. So what research approach is much better, Tatsarani?
Qualitative approach.
Qualitative approach, okay. Sandharwa, do you agree with Tatsarani? Sandharwa. Pushpika, do you agree with Tatsarani?
No, sir. I think it's quantitative approach.
It's quantitative approach, Tatsarani. Very good, Pushpika. Tatsarani, I told that if you are asking the question, what? So what is the impact of this particular accounting standard on financial performance? Then it should be what? It's a quantitative research, isn't it? Then we put a කියලා කටගත්තේ නැති එක විතරයි නේද? Okay. Right. Then we have Piris. Piris we asked it. We'll ask another student. Taranga. For Taranga. Are you there, Puta? It's number 3. Number 3. No answer. You're going to hit it. Just logging. How are you feeling? We have Srivardan. Should I there?
Yes, sir.
Very
Yes,
good,
sir.
Srivardan. Okay, Srivardan, now tell us. I need to see why accountants behave in a certain way in an organization. What's the research approach that's more suitable? Quantitative or qualitative? Asigada.
Sorry, sir. Actually, I just joined. Yeah.
You are still on your way.
Yeah.
You have to pay attention to that, right? Okay.
Okay.
Right, we'll ask another one. Okay. We have Francisco.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Francisco, tell us, what's the most applicable approach, right, to see why accountants are behaving a certain way in an organization? Quantitative or qualitative?
Quantitative, sir.
My goodness. Pushpika, what do you think?
Qualitative.
Francisco, are you listening to the lecture? Tell me
No,
the
sir,
truth.
I was just
Kaurud just joined. My God, Puta, right? Just join. So this is not going to work, Puta, unless you Now, the good thing is the recordings of this lecture series are there. So please do listen to these lectures. If not, you are going to be absolutely in trouble. Right? I'm asking very simple questions, but just based on what I taught. But the students are unable to tell. They tell absolutely wrong. But you are telling the absolutely wrong answers. So if the questions are why and how, you have to adopt a qualitative, or it's more suitable for a qualitative approach. Right. So those are the things that we discussed last week as well as this week. We discussed these things. Right. No point asking whether there are any questions, because if I do ask questions, I get absolutely wrong answers. Right. So therefore, the thing is that my best advice to you all is think, when you are taking part in a lecture, think that it is a physical lecture, and make sure that you're at home or in your workplace, right? Seated and listening by taking notes. Maybe not full notes, but at least taking some notes and concentrating, and try to get the maximum out of the lecture. By asking questions, actively involved. But what I see is that people are doing all other things, traveling, going here and there. And you might then think that someday you will have time to listen to the lecture or watch the lecture. But usually what happens is that day never comes. Okay. So therefore, what you need to do is you have to please understand and apply what you have studied. That's going to be helpful. Okay. Right. Okay. So that's about chapter number 3, research designs. Right. Anything that you would like to clarify? Anything you would like to clarify? Clarifications? Pushpika, is it clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
Good. Right. Okay, so now in that case, we shall now go to chapter number 3. In fact, lesson number 3. That's chapter number 4, in fact. So you can download it, go to the LMS. And today there's going to be the first exercise as well, assessment. Right, I'm going to put an assessment. You have to now see what are the assessment, and as well as there will be other assessment as well. So under assessment, we'll have the first assessment under this particular chapter. And I'm going to help you to select a research area. Now under your assignment, you have to make a proposal, isn't it? You have to do a proposal. So therefore, under that proposal, you will need to come up with a research idea, right? And I'm going to help you. And I'll give you a shortcut as well. And today we'll discuss how to select an appropriate research area for the testing. Okay. Right. So please download this particular chapter today. Lesson 3. Lesson 3. Please download this particular PowerPoint slideshow. Right. And based on that, we'll have an activity as well. Okay. So for today, please download lesson 3 and open that. And we'll have a small activity based on this as well. Right. So under this particular chapter 4, what I'm going to discuss is how to plan a research project and come up with research questions. Planning a research project and formulating research questions. Now, on the first day I taught you, in a research approach, in a quantitative research approach, the so-called scientific research approach, how many steps are there? How many steps are there?
Seven steps.
Very good. Excellent. There are 7 steps. Can you remind me? Right, excellent. You gave me the very correct answer. So can you remind me, Puta, what was the first step? What was the first step?
It's defining the problem.
Excellent. Defining the research problem. So very excellent. So I'm getting very good answers from you, right? So that's what you are trying to do here, right? In the planning the research, you have to understand what is your problem and define the research problem in the planning stage itself. So I'm going to teach you how to plan a research. And today I'm going to give a small exercise as well as a take-home exercise, right? You can do it and you can upload it, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. So there's a nice phrase or saying in English language: if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Read it again. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That means what? If you do not plan, failure is inevitable, right? So that's why, as intelligent students, you have to plan your day, week, month, year, and even your life. If you do not plan it appropriately, that will lead to a tremendous problem, a terrible problem, and it will really destroy your success. It will destroy your dreams. So that's for your life. Same thing for research, right? So effective planning is a must. So that's why, as the first step in a research, as now when we construct a home, we have a blueprint. We have a plan for our house, isn't it? Likewise, before we construct, we have a blueprint. So likewise, if you're going to do a research, before doing a research, you might need to come up with a research plan as well. So we'll be discussing how to plan a research. Most social science degrees require research project dissertation, of course. But here, right, unless you are going to go for a special degree, you don't need, right? In a general degree, it's not required. But if you are going to do a special degree, right, of course, you need to come up with a dissertation. But under this course, you are not required to come under a dissertation, but you are supposed to come up with what? Not a dissertation. Dissertation ek avashyaka karanne. You are required to do what? A proposal. So these are some requirements that are there. Let me confirm them. Usually they will specify a word limit, a format for presentation, abstract, referencing system, right? There are different reference systems like Harvard style, APA style. We shall see what style is applicable to you. I could see someone's mic is up. Sandarwan, your Puta mic is unmuted. I could hear some sounds. Sandarwan, can you mute yourself, Puta? Okay. So seems home sweet home, isn't it? Home sweet home, you get distractions, that's very natural.
Also, Danu Yahweh.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's completely fine. Right. So what's expected from you, we'll see. And under this course, what's expected from you is that you are required to produce a research proposal. And when you are going to do a research, you will be allocated a supervisor, a research supervisor. For this course, of course, you don't need a supervisor. I'll be not your supervisor, but your advisor to advise how to perform research. So even this moment, I'm doing that. So of course, you need to work out a timetable. And that's a must. Because when you're going to do a research, I show you that a timetable could be worked out. And I will teach you how to come up with a research timetable. There you will see how to structure a timetable and how to execute based on the timetable. Then comes, you need to understand your research questions, right? I'll tell you how to come up with your research questions, right? There are different ways that you can come up with your research questions, but I'll teach you how to come up with your research questions. So your research questions would come out of different ways, right? I'll teach you now. Marx comes up with several methods, which I'm going to discuss next. Sources of research questions. Now look at certain sources. Intellectual puzzles and contradictions. Existing literature. Now, intellectual puzzles and contradictions, what do you mean? Now, you expect a variable positively impact the other variable, but you might not see that. Now, for an example, once in Sri Lanka, they wrote good governance. Good governance, that's what they were told. The slogan was good governance. But although they tried to implement good governance, the performance of Sri Lanka did not improve. There's a contradiction. Good governance leads to good performance, but it did not do. Why? There's a contradiction. Those are puzzles. And also you can look at existing literature. You can see some questions out of the existing literature. Literature means already published studies. Now, say for an example, in the literature, it might indicate that something is still not resolved. Now, say for an example, in terms of corporate governance, studies might have been done for the, let's say for an example, the banking sector. Studies might have been done for the banking sector, how corporate governance is important, but not for a sector like artificial intelligence, where companies are using artificial intelligence or sector on that area, right? Then replication, third way. Replication means what? Replication means you repeat a study. That's replication. You repeat a study, you take a study that's already done in some other country, and then you repeat that if it is not done in the particular country that you are talking about. Now, let's say for an example, right? Let's say for an example that a study has been done in Australia, let's say how a particular accounting standard is impacting the performance of a company. But maybe the study is not done in Sri Lanka yet. Then so you can take the study that was done in Australia and replicate that, repeat that in Sri Lanka. On the other hand, you can look at structures and functions. Right? You can see corporate governance structures, functions. Then you can see opposing views. That's also a research question. People might expect a certain thing to happen, but there might be opposing views. There might be opposing views. Right? Then social problems. Now we have enough social problems. Now you might see how tax is impacting the life of people, positively or negatively. Then personal experience, that might be also a research question. Out of personal experiences, you can look. Now I could remember there was one student of one of my friends, a research student who always wanted to do. And so she wanted to see why ETA finance, addressing a trust fund, right? Trust investment, why it failed, right? So my friend, her supervisor, asked her, why do you need to study that company? She was proposing other companies. But this particular student wanted to do the same company. You know what's the reason? Because one of her uncles had lost millions as deposits by depositing that failed company. So she wanted to know what really happened. What really happened in ETF finance? In ETF finance, what really happened? Then gaps between official accounts and facts in the ground. The government might say something is there, but you might now, the government in a particular country might say nowadays everything is fine, there's prosperity. But when you see the facts in the ground, people are in malnutrition, people are stealing from others because they cannot live, and a lot of other issues are there. So likewise, there might be a discrepancy. Then the counterintuitive. You expect something, but the unexpected is there. You know, for example, when the government told that there is good governance, you expect good governance, but actually it was not there. Then deviant cases, right? Again, some critical cases might be there that is quite different from the average deviant cases. Now, for an example, successful deviant cases might be there. Now, for an example, when all the companies are facing difficulties, companies like JKH, right, are doing very fine. Why? You also might see research questions from new methods, theories, also new social trends. And also you can get research questions from sponsors and teachers. Sponsors are people who will give you research funds to do your research. And so they will give their question as well. Now, for example, for a medical research, an organization might fund. And your teachers also might provide a good source of research questions. They might give you some good research questions. Right. Now, I want you to tell me, out of these several sources of research questions, right, what's the source that most of you will be using? Or what's the most popular source? So I'm going to ask each of you. See, out of these several sources, how many sources are there? There are how many sources? How many sources are there?
13.
13 sources are there. Excellent. Now, my question is, what's the most popular source? I'm going to give you 1 or 2 minutes. Can you tell me what's the most popular source out of these 13 sources? Can you tell? I'm going to give you 1 or 2 minutes. Right. Type and send me as direct message. What are the popular sources?
Existing literature, sir.
Okay, okay. One student says case study. Okay. What are the popular methods? You can type and send me. I'm going to give you 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, students, can you tell me what's the most popular method?
Social problems.
Okay.
Gaps between official accounts and facts on the ground.
Okay. Very good.
Existing literature, sir.
Existing literature. Okay. Good. Yes, you are quite correct. Those are some of the most popular sources. And out of that, my experience indicates that replication becomes the most popular one when it comes to students. Because what you do is you take a study that has been done in a different country and you replicate it. You repeat that. That's what called replication, is it? Right. Now let's see if you want to come up with a research question, and today's particular exercise is also on this. I'll teach you how to come up with a research question. Now, for your research proposal, Puta, you need to come up with a research questions. Now, I'm going to teach you how to do it, and also I'm going to teach you how to come up with a proper research question in an easy way. So first what we'll do is we'll first select a research area. We'll come up with a research area. Then what you do is, so it's going to be a broad research area. And after that, you are going to select aspect of that research area because it's too broad. The research areas are quite broad. Then out of that, you are going to select certain questions. And once you select the questions, you are going to select, now there will be several questions. You are going to select few questions out of that. Because remember, in a research, it has to be focused. If it is too broad, then it will be difficult to perform a research. Now let's take an accounting example. Now the research area might be financial reporting. Right? The research area might be financial reporting. But when you take financial reporting, it's a very broad area, isn't it? An extremely broad area. Then what you need to do is you have to select a particular aspect in that area. Right? There are several aspects or several sub areas in financial reporting. I might have selected integrated reporting. Integrated reporting. Right? Integrated reporting as the research area. Right? A broad research area and aspect of research area, integrated reporting. Then out of integrated reporting, which is a sub area of financial reporting, I'm going to ask several research questions. Right? What's the level in the Sri Lanka? What's the level of integrated reporting? Right? Then what factors are impacting integrated reporting? Why people are involved in integrated reporting? And what are the issues and challenges in integrated reporting? What are the manipulations that are taking in integrated reporting? Likewise, I will come up with different research questions. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select few research questions out of that, maybe the level of integrated reporting and the impact of integrated reporting on financial performance. Likewise, I'm going to select few research questions. So you can see from a broader research area like financial reporting, finally, I have selected few research questions. So that's what we do, right? Follow the method that we follow in selecting research questions. Right? We call this funnel approach. You start with a broader, right? In a funnel, that now this is also called a funnel approach. Okay, let's draw a funnel. So in a funnel, you can see the funnel is like this, funnel. So in a funnel, we have a broader area. then it becomes narrow. First is broader and then it becomes bigger. Now you start with a research area that's broader, then you select an aspect of that and the research questions of that aspect, and then finally you will select some very specific research questions. Right, today's assignment is that you have to apply this particular approach, not for the example that I explained to you, to an accounting example, right? Then I'll give you a shortcut as well later on in selecting a research area. But this is what you need to do. You have to start with a broader research area, then narrow it down to a specific research area. Okay. Right. So I will create an assignment after this, and then you can upload your answer. So do it in one page, right? Use a one page, create a one page document. You have to mention what's the research area, then the selected aspect of the research area, right? Then what are the research questions, come up with several research questions, and then finally out of those questions, select 3 or 4, right? And I will take the example given by Bryman after the break, and I'll again explain you, right? I explained already using an accounting example. Now also I'll use the Bryman's example and explain how to select research questions. But I think now high time to take a small break, isn't it? For the break, and then afterwards I'll again explain to you, and I'll ask you to give you enough time till tomorrow morning 6 a.m. right? And where others also will be able to answer and upload the answers. So you'll be allowed that time to give the answer. One page document to start with a broader research area to narrow research questions. Shall we take a small break then? Okay. Right. The time is almost 7:45. Okay. And shall we meet at 8? 8 p.m. Srilanka time. Okay, so we shall meet at 8 p.m. and we shall do our discussion. Continue our discussion. Okay. Okay, students, welcome back. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Excellent, Pita. Thank you very much. Okay, so welcome back and very glad to see you all. So now let me share the screen again and let's see. Let's see the example given by Bryman. Let me put it to focus. Okay, now see what's his example. Now for your assignment, you have to take an accounting example, right? Select a research area in accounting, not what I had taken. Then you have to see how to generate research questions. Now see this example. Research area. Concerns about risk. That's the research area. Now people are having different concerns about risk. That's the research area. Then selected aspect of research area. Variations in concerns about risk. So we know that the main area is concerns about risk. We have different concerns of risk. Here the selected area is variations, right? Due to different reasons, the concerns about risk is varying. So that's the area selected by this research. Then based on that research area, specific research questions have been formulated. Look at it. What areas of risk are of greatest concern among people? Does concern about risk vary by age, gender, social class, and education? Do parents tend to worry about risk more than non-parents? What is the main source of people's knowledge about the issues related to risk? The newspapers, television, family, or these days social media? Do concerns about risk have an impact on how people conduct their daily lives, and if so, in what ways? Do worries about risk result in fatalism? So these are some research questions that's based on variations in concerns about risk. Then you can see there are several questions, and of those several questions, finally they have selected few questions. What are the few questions out of those has been selected? What areas of risk are of greatest concern among people? Does concern about risk vary by age, gender, social class, and education? Do parents tend to worry about risk more than non-parents? Likewise, few questions have been selected out of large number of questions that are there. Why? Why in a research that we need to select few number of questions? Because you have limited time and limited resources. You have limited time and limited resources. So that's why you select a few number of questions. Right. Okay, now did you understand how to select a research question? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So now let me set an assignment for you. Right, I'll set an assignment for you. So let me create a quiz. Okay. Right. So this is the quiz for today. So let me create a quiz. I put it under assessments maybe. There are two assessments, so let me put it over here. I'll say it's a quiz. where the quiz system. I'll say 2023 assessment 1. And I'll give a name to that. Selecting research question. Right. So the assignment is this. Please select a research area, specific area. Search questions and specific search questions related to account. First, specific research area. So timing, I'm not going to set a time because you can assume the time. But let me, yes, close the quiz. I'm going to close it. Yes, we have to close the quiz, isn't it? So today is 16, let's make it 17. And I'm going to give you till tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. 6 a.m. Close the quiz. Not enable it. And no, I'm not going to give a time. You can take your time. But you have to submit by that time. Grade and layout. Layout. One question will be there. Question behavior. Three options. Yeah, I don't need three options. Remove all these things. No review options are required. Right. Extra restrictions are not required. Okay. Then under this quiz, I'm going to put a question. So this is the particular quiz that you have to answer. So this, I'm going to hide other things. Select a area. Or let me take it to the top. People will see it. Right. And now let me add the question again. Settings. Then I'll insert the question. It has to be related to account. Okay. Then now let me enter the question, the same question under this quiz. Okay, let me add a question. So I go to edit quiz. So then let's make it to mark whatever wants. A new question. So I'm going to put an essay type question here. And the question name, let's say Q1. And question text is the same thing. And then you have to write the answer there. So let me now give a response template. The template, first thing you have to say, what's your research area? In number 2, you have to tell what's your specific research area, let's say in account. Then let's say specific. In account, specific. The third one, research questions. At least have 6 research questions. A, B, C, D, and E. So what are some research questions? Let's see here, 6. And finally, you have to indicate selected questions. Related to count. So indicate out of that maximum 3 research questions. Whatever out of table. Okay, so that's the question. Now let's preview and see how the question will look like to you. So let's make it 10 marks. So this is how you will see the question. Okay. This one. So you will see the question like this once you attempt it. It's taking a quite long time. Let me close it and wait. It will look like this. But okay, right, it will look like this. So you have to type here the research area, then specific research area, then what are the research questions that are related to that, and then the selected research questions related to account. Right? Understood? Anything not clear? Let me edit the question. So yes. So in my response format, So I'm giving you a response format as well, so you can type your answer properly. So response template. So I'm going to put this in. Some students won't understand. You also present questions in account that are related about research. Specific about specific research. Okay. Okay. So the research question should be related to that specific area. It's fine, and then finally. Right. So this is what you need to do. Let me see the changes.
Excuse me, sir.
There is one student who had already tried to do that.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Pata?
Sir, if you don't mind, can you please repeat this about this quiz, sir? This assessment.
Of course. Why not? Why not try it? Then to attempt a curl, how they? There's one student who has attempted. Summarizing has attempted. I'm going to delete it, Putta, because I changed certain things. Okay. Summarizing, you have to do it again, right? Yeah, one student asked me to repeat what's required. Yet, Putta, I'll explain it. Wait a minute. First of all, I tell about the question. Okay, so this is the question. We do this now. Okay. Right. So you will see a question like this in the limits, and you have to fill the answer using the limits. Okay. Now let me tell what's required. Thank you, Buddha. So one student asked me what's required. Then once you do it, you submit, finish the attempt, then I'll get the answer. Right. So what do you need to do? Right. So this is the quiz that you have to do, and I'll explain again what you need to do. Okay, let me close this now. Finish attempt, and then it will be submitted. Submit and finish, submit all and finish, and that will be submitted. So make sure you submit it properly. Finish through. Okay. So there's a quiz now there that calls itself 2023 assessment number 1, selecting research questions. Can you see that, Buddha? Then I'll come to the question what you're required to do that. So it's there. So this assessment number 1. So one student asked me what you need to do in this assessment. Shall I explain it again? Right. So what you do is exactly this. You have to select Buddha first any research area. It can be accounting, it can be in accounting, it can be in auditing, it can be in taxation, any research area of your preference. Now, as an example, I took the financial reporting area. But don't take that example because I have already taken that example for this one. You can take financial reporting, but some other aspect. So let's take the research area is financial reporting. So then tell financial reporting. Then Putta, select an aspect of the research area. Now, financial reporting is a very broad area. What you need to do is we have to select an aspect of that broad area. So I took integrated reporting. In financial reporting is like an ocean, very large area. So then I'm going to take one aspect of that. What's that aspect I have selected? Integrated reporting. Now don't take this example, right? Because already I'm using that as an example. Then Putha, what you need to do is you need to come up with research questions. You need to come up with research questions. Research questions. So what type of research questions you have to come up? Okay, related to the area you have selected. Now, what kind of research questions can be there in the integrated reporting, right? The selected sub area, right? The main area is financial reporting. Then I selected integrated reporting. Now, what are the research questions that could be there under integrated reporting? Maybe the level of integrated. What is the level of integrated reporting in Sri Lanka? Then number 2 question can be, what are the challenges faced by companies in implementing integrated reporting? Number 3, what are the factors impacting integrated reporting in Sri Lankan companies? Number 4, are regulators adequate for integrated reporting? Number 5, maybe whether integrated reporting should be mandatory for Sri Lankan companies. Likewise, you can have several research questions. And under the last one, you have to select a specific research question out of them. You have to select a specific research question out of them. Okay. So maybe you can select, now I told several research questions. You can select maybe 5, maybe 3, maximum 3. I told about 5 or 6 now. Select out of the same research 6 questions, select 3. That is most appropriate as you think. Is that clear, Buddha?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Excellent. Very good. So,
Excuse me,
good
sir.
question, Buddha. Yes, Buddha, who is this?
Except
this?
finance or taxes auditing, can we select some other sector like stock market, for example?
Better Buddha, accounting, because or finance. Accounting, finance, maybe if you are selecting finance aspect, yes, you can take stock market, but it has to be something related to stock market, a finance related research area and research questions. That's no problem. Yeah, because stock market is part of finance, isn't it?
Okay, sir.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, Buddha. So you have time till tomorrow morning 6 a.m. right? Because people are joining overseas, I would have given this particular question in the class and given you 5 or 6 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. This has to be completed by Buddha. Actually, it would take only maybe 20 minutes. But again, you take your time. You have time till 6 a.m. tomorrow. But after 6 a.m., the quiz will be closed.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Buddha.
Yeah.
Dan.
When sir, we'll say sir, main aspect is like financial reporting. Then
Okay.
like main thing, then aspect we can like take in like related to standards, right? Accounting standards.
Of
sir.
course. Why not? You can go. You can take a particular accounting standard, Buddha.
Stand. Okay, sir. Okay, got it. Got it.
Particular.
Particular. Okay.
Two broad. And you can take a particular accounting stand, and then you can take several questions out of that and select 3 out of 3, maximum 3 out of that.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Buddha. My pleasure. So I can see some students are very vigilant and they would like to see what are the answers that you will be getting. Good. Right. So that's about planning the research. And so then I'll teach you probably next week an easy way. Right now, these are a bit, a time consuming way, but I'll teach you for your own research that you are going to select an easy way to select your research. Right. And I'm going to help you to do that as well. How to select, right, a research area that's easy. Right. Now, I told you now, once you select your research questions and once you're clear about your research area, you can then come up with something called a research proposal. A research proposal will be the plan for your research. Now, when you are going to construct a building, you have to first create a plan, right? A blueprint, and then you will be constructing the building. And of course, that building plan has to be approved. Your research proposal will have to be approved, right? When you are going to do the research. So don't worry. I'm going to look at your research proposal and give you comments as well. So what are you going to include in this research proposal? So that's the next question. And in fact, your assignment is also on that. Your assignment is on your research proposal. And you have to do the research proposal, and then I'll ask you to present it as well at the end. Right? Because to make sure that it is done by you. Right? That one we have on that day. Even foreign students, the students who are joining from foreign countries will have to come at least on that day on time and do the presentation. So I'll let you know what's that day. Probably it will be the last day of this semester, because that's going to help me to evaluate you whether you have done a proper job. Right? Right. So what are the components of the research proposal? So first of all, your research proposal should have, then I'll show you a sample also. What is the topic? So you have to have in your research a topic. What's your proposed topic? You have to indicate. Then what are the objectives of your research that you are going to conduct? Then you have to explain also why the topic is important. Then you have to tell what are your research questions. Then you have to provide a brief literature review. Then you are going to say how you are going to collect data. Now, when you are going to collect data, what are the methods that you can use to collect data? Data collect current common. How you are going to collect your research data? What are the methods to collect data? What are the methods? I already explained to you. Different methods are there.
Questionnaires, interviews.
Yes, excellent. Questionnaires, interviews, excellent. Observations. Observations, you can observe and collect data. You can also collect, now those are primary methods. Then you can have secondary sources as well. You can see data, you can use data that has been already used or collected. So likewise, how you are going to collect your data or how you are going to use the collected data. So why are these methods appropriate? You have to justify why these methods are appropriate. Then what resources will you need? So what are the resources that you will require, right? In terms of time, in terms of software and other resources. Then what's the timetable? You have to tell, right? What's the time that you require to complete this research? So timetable has to be given. Then what problems do you foresee? So what are the problems you foresee? What are the problems that you see when it comes to this research? Are there any ethical problems? do you see that there are any ethical issues? Because when you conduct research, I'll teach you, you have to be highly ethical, right? You cannot do unethical things to collect data. You cannot harm people. You cannot harm people. You cannot deceive people when you conduct research. So that one you have to discuss unethical problems. Then you also will have to explain how you analyze the data. So I'm going to teach you SPSS and how to use SPSS payloads study. So these are the contents of a research proposal. And I'm going to show you a research proposal. Now, what kind of areas that now, broad areas now, ethics in accounting, accounting education. Now, these are some broad areas that you can consider in your assignment that I gave you today. Technological advancements, accounting in SMEs, tax evasion, integrated reporting. Even integrated reporting can be a broad area. CG and technology, fraud, likewise, you can have these areas. Right. Now, let me show you a research proposal already done. Now, of course, these are research template, proposal template that you can use for your research proposal. So this is your assignment template for your first assignment. And that's the only assignment you are having, isn't it? So let's call this. Now, let's go to your, let me again remind you. This is your course outline. In your course outline, Putha, you can see that I explained to you. These are your assessments. Again, I'm going to remind you. Here, you have to do a critical literature review, which I'm going to teach you. That's 40%. Then that's the 10%, in fact, sorry. And then research proposal, 40%. The end semester exam, 50%. So this is what I'm talking about, research proposal. In fact, critical literature review is that you have to select an area that I'm going to teach you, and that contains 10%, and you have to do that. And also the research proposal, I will ask you to present, right? Individually, you have to present it. And I'm going to take time for that, of course. 10 minutes presentation of your research proposal. So I'm going to have those presentations. I'm going to allocate 10 minutes, and we'll see what you have done. What you have done and how you have done that. We'll have a look at it, right? Okay. And since some students are joining from overseas, we'll see a mechanism how we can do that. Because sometimes it might be a little bit difficult for some students to take part. So let me think of a way that we can accommodate that aspect, because I don't want them to, suffer. Right. Okay. So critical literature review, then this research proposal is this. Now for that, you have to use this template. Right, the template is given for your research proposal. Now download this. So let's call this, right, assignment. Right. Assignment. Proposal. So proposal template for CS Srilanka, that means for you. So open that, Putha. Open this Word file, proposal template. So this is what you need to do. Okay, it says, okay, in this assignment, you have to use this template, right? This template has to be used for your assignment. And here again, it says, this assignment contains this, right? You have to fill these areas. Title of your research. a brief introduction to your research, background, and statement of the problem. So all these are there, and I'm going to teach you from today onwards. I'll be giving you certain ideas, and of course, you can now see what kind of title, research title that you are going to do. Then what are your research questions? Then your design, whether it's quantitative and qualitative. Then what's your population and your sample? Data collection methods, data analysis methods, or you're going to analyze your data. Then what are the mechanisms to assure quality of your study? What's your study period? Then participants of the study, who are going to be your participants. Then ethical considerations. As I told you, you need to see whether any ethics are violated while you are doing the study. Resources required for the study. So what are the resources that are required for your study? References and appendices if any. Right? References and appendices if any. So in the appendix, if you have a questionnaire, you can include them. And here this is the template. Now here this is a general introduction. So what you need to do is when you use this template, you have to delete this first page. Because this is only instructions. So delete this first page, right? And then start with here. So this is where your proposal starts. Type your title of your research project. This is your research title. Then your name, your registration number, post name, code, those things. Then contains these and automatic, right? Automatically generated table of contents. How many of you know to generate automatically a table of contents? Let's see, can you raise your hands? People who know how to automatically generate a table of contents. I'm not going to ask you, but just to know. Okay, yeah. Jayanthi knows that. Very good. Nalin knows that. Very nice. So if you do not know how to automatically generate a right, Buddha, you can drop your hands. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So can you tell me, if you don't know how to do, what to do? Go to YouTube. Right, go to YouTube. And you can say, YouTube. And go to YouTube. Right. And I will see, okay. So, metric. Table of contents. In this word. For pieces. Or let's say for a proposal. Or you can say in this word, that's one. And you can see several good topics are. I don't know, for some reason I like this man's videos because he's a Microsoft employee. And you might start watching that first.
Once everything's perfectly organized, I'll start working on my thesis.
Hi everyone, my name is...
So maybe I'll post this into this chat of this Teams call. And please watch that if you have no idea how to automatically generate a table of content. Right? So he explains that. And there are other things as well. So let's see now for such proposal. This is one. How to add headings and table of content. That also seems an interesting topic. So why not you look at this as well? So without verbal explanations, he's telling how to do that. I will post that video as well. So please have a look at this. So it will exactly say how to put the chapter. Interesting, isn't it? See, the chapter number should come. Now here in your proposal, it's the what we call section number. So he says how to use styles. And the academic font is Times New Roman. So check this video, it seems interesting. And seems the Sri Lankan has done it. Right, so it's up to you. So please watch it and you can do it. And let me go back. Okay, so you can generate this table of content automatically. You can see in the table of contents, what's there is a summary at the beginning. That's called an abstract as well. Then an introduction to your proposal. Then problem statement and justification. Then research objectives, your research questions as well. Then the literature review. So that will take us as a separate assignment as well. Significance, but why your study is important. Then research design. How your research is, what's your research approach, the conceptual diagram, hypothesis. I'm going to teach you all these things. Then population and sample size, those kind of things. And then comes the scope of the study after the research design, the scope of the study. So what you're trying to do in your study, limitations of the study, summary and conclusion, time frame, references and appendices. If it, this is not a must to do. In summary, you have to explain. Now then comes the content. You can see under summary, you have to explain the background and the methods that you are going to use in your study. Because here you don't get your findings yet, because this is only a proposal. And yes, do not use abbreviation or insert tables or figures in your references or in the abstract. And you should not exceed 300 words for your abstract or your summary, in fact, here. Then introduction. Introduction is where you are trying to introduce your study. Then problem justification. You have to tell why there's a problem. Right? What's the problem? You have to explain with justification, then problem statement. Then you have to give the research questions and your research objectives. Then you have to give a literature review that reviews at least 15 quality reference, right? I'll tell how to ensure the quality. Then significance, why your study is important. Significant, that's called significance of the study. The research design and methods, you have to explain the research approach, as I explained earlier, quantitative or qualitative. You can give a conceptual diagram indicating your independent and dependent variables. Then your hypothesis, your operationalization, how you are going to measure the variables. Likewise, some other details, which I'm going to cover during these sessions. So this is what I'm going to teach you. Right, this is what I'm going to teach you during the sessions. So what you are supposed to do is you have to apply these things and come up with this research proposal. The limitations of the study, summary and conclusion of the proposal, and finally a time frame. So you'll be drawing a Gantt chart, right? I think you know what's a Gantt chart. So, and then finally references. And if you do have appendices, you can come up with the appendices. So this is what you need to do under your assignment. Actually, this covers your 2 assignments. The critical review of literature 10% and then your research proposal 40%. Right. So that's about your assignment as well. And also if you go to your LMS, you can see there's a sample proposal I have here. Now this is the template. I did not stop from a template. Template gives you the format. But also I am explaining a sample proposal. Please download it. And you can see a proposal already done following that particular format. You can see the first page has gone, and this is the first page, that the instruction page. It was the first page, it was gone. You can see the first, you have the topic. An empirical study between corporate governance and access to finance with the mediating effect of corporate social responsibility. So likewise, you can have a topic which we'll discuss from next week, how you are going to select a better topic. So you don't have a supervisor, so don't worry about these submissions and other things. And just the table of content has automatically generated. And you can see the abstract or the summary is given at the beginning. So particularly here, what is being mentioned is the background and the methods. And some keywords have been given. Right. The background. So the abstract is basically, this is called a summary. So the abstract, which gives a grand summary of your, so ideally you should write this abstract or the summary at the end of your assignment. Proposal like once you do your proposal, once you write your proposal, only at the end you have to come up with your abstract or your summary. So keep this section to be completed at the end. Then introduction. This is the introduction to your research proposal and your research. And then section 2, it justifies your problem. You cannot just say that there's a problem. You have to justify that taking references. Now see, she takes Rubini 2016 and other kind of reference material. And justifies why there is a problem in access to finance and financial performance. And based on that, she has come up with the research problem finally. Come up with the research problem. Can you see that? Is it clear, Buddha? Okay. So these are research questions. There is a problem, and based on the research questions. So don't exceed more than three research questions. And based on the research objectives are written. And you have the literature review. This is where you review the relevant literature. So they have done a comprehensive literature review. Then significance of the study, why your study is important, the practical significance, theoretical significances have been explained. And then comes a very important chapter, which is how you are going to achieve your objectives in your study. How you are going to achieve your objectives in your study. Here you are going to explain your research approach. Here it's a quantitative approach they are used, and this is called the conceptual diagram. So in the conceptual diagram, you are going to indicate your independent and your dependent variables. Here the independent variable is corporate governance. Your dependent variable is access to finance. So then you have mediating variable, that's a variable at the middle. That's why it's called a mediating variable, corporate social response. So that's a conceptual diagram. And you have your hypothesis. Hypotheses are testable assumptions. And then the operational table will tell how you are going to measure the variables. So that's how it tells how to measure the variables. And then comes also measuring variables, population and those kind of information. Then data analysis, how you're going to analyze the data to achieve the objectives. Then comes limitation of your study. Then summary and conclusion of your proposal. And that ends, and this is basically the project timeline. So this is called the Gantt chart. From start of the project, how you are going to finally submit the thesis, complete your research and submit. So yes, let's say you have about 3 months. Within 3 months, how you are going to apply. Then the references will be included. And you can see several references these students have looked at. And appendices, they have included the listed companies that the top 100 listed companies that they have select for this particular research. And some of the information as appendices have been given. Okay, so that's your assignment that you have to do. And yes, you have to present it. And I'm going to ask questions to see whether you have done it. Okay. Okay, so that's the assignment that you will have to do under research proposal. So today's topic was part of what you have to do, basically to understand your research area. So I have given here, right? I have given here the template as well as the sample proposal. So please go through these two documents, the template as well as the sample proposal, because that's going to be your assignment. Okay. Right. Any questions? Questions, concerns? Do you have any questions, concerns? Then let's see whether any student have attempted already the questions. Ah, yes, there's one attempt. Good. Okay. There's Jayaketi has done. In fact, no answers there. So in progress, so of course. So it's in progress. But by tomorrow 6 AM, it will close. Right. So you have to complete that. So it's in progress. Yes, still you are doing. Okay. And I'm going to teach you next week, right? How to select a good research area. For that, you will have to bring good research articles in the area that you select. And then you can replicate that under your research proposal. You can propose, you don't need to replicate, of course. If you're going to do the research, then you can replicate. But if not, you can bring the research articles and we'll discuss that next. Okay, I think that's enough for today, isn't it? Any questions you have? Do you have any questions? Concerns? No questions or concerns?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Dan.
Sir, the research articles gain what sir? As a gain the me then appear selection research question related to the Himada Natta.
Emana vada honda. මම පුතා next week එකේ පැහැදිලි කරන්න. මේ week එකේ මම හිතන්නේ ඕක කියන්නේ ඔයාලා බය වෙනවා. So I will teach you in the next week how to select certain research articles.
Okay, so right? I got it.
And then Puta, you can select a research article that's related to your area. And Puta hitanna udaharanayak vidiyata financial reporting. Right? So in financial reporting, then you could select, okay, maybe it's integrated reporting. Then under integrated reporting, you can see what's a good research done. And based on that research, you can create your research proposal because you have, let's say it's already done for some other country and you are going to do it to this country, Sri Lanka. So research has to be something new. No? So yes. Something new to Sri Lanka is an acceptable research. Now say for an example, in America, let's say, or in Australia, or in UK, let's say there is a study done how blockchain technology has been applied in financial accounting. Or let's say in finance, blockchain technology, cryptocurrency and everything comes into our mind. Okay, so they have tried to see that. Now in Sri Lanka, that study has not been done. So let's say you are going to replicate that study in Sri Lanka, then that's called also a research. Okay.
Okay.
So that's also kind of a research project that you can perform. I'll tell you that next week, the other worry in Nepal, because I think I told you several things today to you, right, related to starting that. So therefore, don't worry. So what you need to do is you do the assignment as well as you go through today's video again and particularly see what's this research template. So check the research template, the research proposal template, and also the sample proposal as well. Sample proposal template and sample proposal. And next week we'll have the discussion on that. We'll discuss what are these and how you can apply these and information like that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. So I'm not going to inundate with you too much. The research can buy in it, you know. It's not going to be difficult. And I'm going to show you little by little how to perform a good research. Okay. For that, although you'll see it's a huge, yes, it's indeed a huge project. Right? Proposal but I'm going to take you step by step. Step by step, I'm going to take you. And at the end, you'll have to do a presentation on your proposal. Your proposal present within 10 minutes, you have to present it. Okay. Right. Okay. I think that's enough for today. So we had a huge or quite a lengthy discussion. So thank you very much for your active participation. I saw several students actively took part. Very happy to see that. So I'm going to give the remaining time. So we have from 9 to 9:30. Still there's time. So the remaining time to do the assignment and submit it. Of course, you take till 6 a.m. tomorrow. There's no problem. But usually I do this in the class, but yeah, I'm unable to do that in the class because there are some students who are joining from overseas. So wish you all the best in that, right? So use the remaining time for that. Take maximum 1 hour for this exercise. And I can see 2 people are trying to do it. Okay, good. There you are, Chase also, they're in progress, okay. But this quiz will be over by tomorrow 6 a.m. So yeah, Hoda, kindly finish it by that time. So I can see the attempt. Okay. So even if you are doing that, not yet answered, you can say started. So you have entered the quiz, but you are not yet answered. So everything is recorded in the LMS, isn't it? So use the remaining time for that. Right. So with that, we are going to finish today's session. Thank you very much. And I wish you good night. We'll meet. By the way, are we having Thursday lecture? Thursday lectures, Tina? Thursday, do we have lectures, Putak? Because this Thursday, if we have lectures, I'm unable to do the lecture. We might need to shift it to another day. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Friday. But we'll need to see. Right. And let me discuss that with Jennifer. Right. So because this week we have the induction of Sri Lanka president. Right. The new president of Sri Lanka is going to be inducted on this Thursday. And he personally called me as well as sent an invitation to be present. Right. So therefore, for me to be a bit difficult to have the lecture on, if you are going to have one on this Thursday. By the way, are we having on this Thursday an additional lecture? Dan? You know that? Because last week we had an issue. But in my calendar, I don't see one. My calendar ke namputa reflect right? So usually if there's a lecture, no, see, I show you my calendar. Okay, so this is my calendar. Take my calendar. So this is my calendar. So this lecture is there. Is that every Tuesday it's there. Last week I was suddenly contacted by the office and told that there is a lecture, but actually it was not scheduled. You can see there's no lecture schedule. So this week also I don't see a lecture scheduled on Thursday evening. But tomorrow I have a lecture in a different place. But on Friday I am a little bit free. So were you informed that you are going to have a lecture on this Thursday?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Puta.
Yeah, initially, sir, it was communicated that like one day per week extra. That
Okay.
is,
Okay.
they gave us the option to select the choose a date. Then we have selected Tuesday.
Okay.
And the class was fixed on Tuesday. I think last week there was some Tuesday class was missed. That's why it's scheduled to Thursday.
Right.
Regularly it would be every Tuesday, sir. I'm not wrong.
Okay, Buddha. Okay, Buddha. Yes, indeed. That's the scheduled date. Tuesdays. And only last week, I think, they scheduled it on Thursday, isn't it? Got the point. Then So we'll discuss and we'll schedule now last week අපිට කරන්න එක පුතා ගැටලුවක් ආවනේ. Therefore what we'll say is we'll see well in advance. We'll inform you well in advance and we'll try to schedule a lecture then. Okay. However, even if you are not going to have lectures during the weekdays, in the weekend, we'll meet. Okay. Right, Puda. So this week only this lecture will be there and no Thursday lectures, no Friday lectures, so don't get confused. And next on this Saturday we'll meet, however, and then we shall see if you are going to have, then on next Tuesday, of course, we'll have our usual lecture. But if you are going to have additional lectures, you will be informed. Till then, don't worry. There's not going to be any lectures uninformed. Thank you for that clarification.